Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for watching. Today I want to be talking about giants, all right, and how they were brought onto the earth. A lot of people don't realize, they just read that there were giants in the earth, and they just, Christians today, they'll read it in Genesis and say, oh, okay, there were giants. They don't ask questions about it. They just kind of accept that there were giants, and that's about the end of it. But so what I'm going to do first is we'll take a look at the first mention of giants seen in the book of Genesis in our Bibles. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it a little better. As this top verse right here says, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what trips people up is this right here. This sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And it's talking about giants in the context. There were giants in the earth in those days. And also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children, the same, the product of that was mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Okay, so Christians and non-Christians, everybody's heard of Goliath, the story of David and Goliath. The slingshot and kills him, right? That's the most famous giant that we read about. All right. It's common knowledge that giants are mentioned in the Bible. And growing up, I never really questioned how this was possible. But seriously, how did giants originate? How did something so abnormal come into existence? And even though most Christians don't really give it any thought, it's a legitimate question. It seems like most Christians today read Genesis 6, and it's more of like a casual, by the way, there were giants, and that's it. That's it. That's the end of it. And so their approach to this subject is just that, oh, they just happen to be there. It's not a big deal. It's not something we need to really look into. We just have to accept that there was giants, and that's about it. But this Genesis reference to giants is a lot more than just an offhand mention, okay? It's a big deal. And Gary Wayne, he does a really good job of explaining this. Look at what he says. He says, humans mating with humans could not have produced a new, physically superior race of humanoids of that sort of magnitude unless the term giant is greatly overstated, for Nephilim were thought to be a powerful race of giants. Okay, so that's really good. It's really good. Let me we're going to look at a few passages and compare. But really, if God designed men and women to procreate according to their kind, as we're told in the book of Genesis and other books, how did they reproduce something different than their design? Okay, if it was just humans uniting with humans, how did they produce something different than what God designed them to do? And that's the biggest question that I first had when I read those words of Gary Wayne. It just clicked. It's like, that is a great point. Unless the term giant is greatly overstated, for the Nephilim were thought to be a powerful race of giants. Has anyone ever heard that term Nephilim? I'm sure a lot of people have. They just don't know. I heard that term at first, but it was like back in the early 2000s when I first heard the term Nephilim. And it came up in a lot of different studies, but until I started looking into the giants in Genesis 6, it didn't click. I wasn't putting the pieces together. Okay, so we're going to look at how these giants came into existence, okay? And it's a good thing we validated some of those other texts because they give us an inside look at that. And that's the importance of these extra biblical texts, that some that were taken out of the Bible that used to be a part of the Bible, some that were found along with other books of the Bible in the Dead Sea Scrolls, like the biggest discovery of humankind. Putting it. The Dead Sea Scrolls validated some of these books. The book of Enoch here. Look at this. Let's start with Genesis 6, verses 1 and 2. We already read that one. It says, the sons of God saw the daughters of men. But look at how Enoch words this. It came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. He's talking about humans, the children of men, beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Okay, so in the book of Genesis, it's translated sons of God. In the book of Enoch, it just comes out and says they were the angels, the children of heaven, who united with the women. And in the book of Jubilees, it says, when the children of men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, and the angels of God saw them on a certain year of this Jubilee, that they were beautiful, and they took themselves wives of all whom they chose, and they gave birth to their sons, and they were giants. They gave birth to their sons, and they were giants. So there it is. That's really good. Okay. What I might do is I may just break this video up into a certain segmented, maybe just 2 or 3 videos, so that they'll be really short. But in this field of study, this Nephilim, giants, the event of the angels leaving their habitation and coming down to earth to unite with women, it's commonly referred to as the incursion, okay? There's a lot of debate about the identity or the meaning of the phrase sons of God. But just that quick comparison, it's pretty evident that we're dealing with angels here, a band of rebellious angels, all right? And most people believe it refers to men. But like I said, how could humans unite with humans the way God created them and produce something other than human? That's the problem that people really need to wake up and see. Like the devil has a way of getting us to go against our common sense when it comes to some very obvious things in the Bible. But really, it's more hermeneutically beneficial to compare these passages and with other passages and historical texts that document the same event. This is all over. This is, if you look, this is in every culture. It talks about these giants. And I know Ancient Aliens, they say that all of these historical texts, including the Bible, all of the people who documented all this, they were confused about what they were witnessing, and really it was aliens, not angels. So that's kind of funny that people thousands of years later on TV today, experts, think that they have a better idea of what actually occurred than the people who documented these events in the writings. The thing is, these people on Ancient Aliens know that the texts talk about angels uniting with humans. They know this. And they're trying to get the world to think in terms of aliens instead of angels. Okay? So that's why they're saying that. That's why they're saying they were confused about what they witnessed back in the early days. Okay. Now, even though the book of Enoch and the book of Jubilees, we just read, it affirms the identity of the sons of God. But there are many people who dispute this. And probably the most common objection, one that I've been presented with on multiple occasions, is that angels cannot unite sexually with humankind. And this was one of the first things that someone brought to my attention from a previous church that I attended. And they're just like, look, Jesus said it, and I'll pull this down here. Let me blow this up, pull this down. Jesus said, for in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. So he's comparing humanity after the resurrection to the angels of God who do not marry or are given in marriage. So people will use that and say that angels cannot unite sexually with humankind. But what they don't realize is that Christ was talking about, he was referencing the book of Enoch. And this is just what I have up here is just part of the context. This Enoch chapter 15, the verses 2 through 7, the entire, it gives you like a very detailed layout of what he was referring to. But this is just part of it. And go to the watchers, the angels of heaven, though you were holy, spiritual, living the eternal life, you have defiled yourselves with the blood of women, and have begotten children with the blood of flesh. I have not appointed wives for you, for as the spiritual ones of heaven, in heaven is their dwelling. So what Christ was referring to was, he was saying, look, you'll be like the angels in heaven. They were not designed to unite with human women, okay? They did, and that's why he was referencing that. The context of that passage is really good. Maybe I should have put the whole thing. And go say to the watchers, the angels of heaven, who have sent thee to intercede for them, talking about Enoch, you should intercede for men and not men for you. Wherefore have you left the high, holy, and eternal heaven, and lain with women, and defiled yourselves with the daughters of men, to take yourselves wives? So what happened here is they went against their design. I would 100% agree that no, angels were not designed to do this. They were rebellious. And when you start saying that they can't do something, they can't unite with women because Jesus said they weren't designed to marry, what you're doing is you're using your own logic. People, they'll accuse you of placing a cap on God and what things can happen. Well, it's the same thing. Like, people think they have a better idea of what can happen in the supernatural. And even though inspired text tells us that angels united with humans, they rebelled against God, they went against their design, and they united with humans. Okay? We have texts telling us this. And that's a lot of the reason people don't want to accept these texts, because it doesn't go against, or it doesn't complement their preconceived ideas and the version of the gospel and Christianity and that they were presented with. Okay? But we have the texts that tell us that angels went against their design and united with human women. Okay? Okay, I think I might go ahead and end right there. That's a good stopping point. But we are going to talk about why, in the next video, why the sons of God are the angels. A lot of people say, no, sons of God are human. And some people will say, understand that you can compare this phrase, sons of God, and see that it does refer to angels. We did one comparison already, so I'll leave that in the second video. I wanted to make these short so people could retain what information I gave them. So I know these long, dragged out videos can be hard sometimes. So there it is. Here's part one. I hope this makes sense. And if it does, I know I'm speaking to a smaller audience and probably mostly people who are not familiar with this. People who can't read a 580-page book. And that's why a lot of people have messaged me and said, I do like your videos. Because I don't have time to read your book, but I want to learn about what you write about. So I know there's a handful of people who are hearing this for the first time. And if you like it, I can get you connected with, or at least show you some video content creators who talk about this more in depth. If you're not subscribed to Hanging on His Words or Kingdom in Context or Kingdom Cast, they go into this very detailed. Rob Skiba's, he does the same thing. Of course, his channel is just huge. He's got tons of different playlists, tons of topics, but I would subscribe to those. If you get something out of my videos and you want to learn more, I'll start putting those links in my descriptions. So there it is. Thanks for watching, and I'll try to get another video out soon. Okay, thanks a lot.